It's Friday, and it can only mean one thing. It's time for the Movie Pope Show. And here are your hosts, Lee Suchek and Luca Suon. And now, let's make some noise for the gruesome twosome, the pedantic pair, Lee and Luca.
Hello and welcome back to the Movie Pope podcast, and happy Memorial Day to everyone. And I know even though we haven't done a special, we are still doing our double header with us reviewing Jurassic World Rebirth and then the robot taking a look at Jurassic World. But before we dive in, remember to like, comment, subscribe. You know, it's getting close to summertime. You know, everybody's having a little bit of fun. Everybody's being a little bit, you know, loosey-goosey and going on vacation. And I know on vacation, sometimes you got a lot of downtime. So why don't you go ahead and just check out the episodes that we have on our channel. We have hundreds and hundreds of episodes neatly assorted into carefully curated playlists that you can check on your own time. And if you're digging what we're doing, remember to hit the subscribe button. That helps us a lot, and it grows our audience, as well as let the algorithm know that we are a decent podcast and we are not offensive to anyone. So without further ado, Lee, let's go ahead and dive into Jurassic World Rebirth, because it just seems like I've seen this movie before. It's like a huge sense of deja vu, because how many times can they keep exploring the same storyline of a bunch of idiot humans interacting with dinosaurs and not thinking, oh, nothing's going to happen to me, and then something bad happens, and then everybody is running around sometimes with their heads cut off, or in this case, bitten off.
Yeah, it's literally like this movie's just like inbred, right? Like it just constantly is doing the same thing, and it just keeps going back to the same thing over and over and over again. Like it just, every iteration of it just gets more and more like the same. It was like almost like at certain parts I'm like, oh yeah, I've seen that in this film, or I've seen that in that one. And it's weird, right? It makes no sense because, like, literally, you have the market on dinosaur film, right? Like, there's not a whole lot of competition out there for this. It's like Jurassic Park or nothing. So you kind of have, like, the world's your oyster as far as, like, coming up with stories or doing stuff with this. But to your point, right, it just feels like it's the same thing, just with a slightly different paint job. And
with different leads also.
Yes, the different leads as well, right? Because was this the first one with Scarlett Johansson as the lead? Because I don't even remember now. Right? Yeah,
because the last ones had Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard, right?
Yes,
and then
the OG cast.
Yeah, in Dominion, which I thought, okay, this is their swan song. They're signing off, and we'll get no more Jurassic Park movies, and then. Well, we got this, so that kind of went out the window.
Hold on, we haven't milked this dry yet. It made too much money at the box office. Let's just go ahead and try to squeak out another one, which they did. And, well, it feels like, well, I don't know if I actually got anything different from this that I haven't seen in any of the other ones. So when we're talking about doing something different, this film did none of that, right? Because, I mean, even the opening, I was just, like, floored. And how stupid this was, right? Because we have this opening, right, where we're at some, lab where they're, creating dinosaurs, right? So this is kind of the, I guess, the Frankenstein of dinosaur creation, where they're just kind of like, crossing a whole bunch of dinosaurs together. And we have the scientist that I guess loves Snickers bars. And let me tell you, I felt like I was in a Final Destination film, because we see the Snicker wrapper hit the ground, and we're just kind of like following the Snickers wrapper. And the whole time it's happening, I'm like, why are we following the Snickers wrapper? Like, what's going to happen?
Well, to be fair, Lee, why did we pay attention to that feather in Forrest Gump? You can ask that question as well.
There's a feather in Forrest Gump?
Yeah, remember the feather's floating down, and it lands, and Forrest picks it up, and it's like, oh, okay, it's a feather.
I don't even remember that. Holy shit. I'll have to go back and watch Forrest Gump now.
Oh, God's sakes, Lee.
Sorry, man. Look, this is not a Forrest Gump review, okay? It's Jurassic remake, reroll, whatever the fuck we want to call it, right? So, but we're following the sticker wrapper, right? And lo and behold, we find out that the sticker wrapper, it gets, like, sucked into a door, and then the whole lab just fucking just gets destroyed, right? That Snickers wrapper gets sucked into the door. It like corrupted everything. It shut down the system. Everything was able to like just blow up. And I'm like, wow, can you imagine like building this super sophisticated lab, right? Which I'm sure cost, hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars to make, right? And I think back to, what we always heard Hammond say, right? I spared no expense, right? Always hear that. But clearly someone spared an expense here because the most minor thing happens and the whole thing just blows up, right? And that's the start to our film, right? And immediately I was thinking to myself, like, oh, this is gonna suck, right? And I feel bad, right? Because Luke, have you ever watched just like the first few minutes of a film and it totally just ruins the rest of the film for you because you always think of how stupid the first part was?
Yeah, Star Wars Rise of Skywalker.
Interesting one to go with, but yes, right? And the whole time I'm just like, oh, geez, like, we're really just going to have that be the thing? And it kind of reminded me back to, because like really this is just ripping off things that we've seen before, right? It made me think of the first one, right? Because I think back to, when they're, pulling the Velociraptor gates in and that guy falls off and, there's kind of this like tense thing where he's like hanging on and the guy's like, shoot her in his accent and everything. And I'm like, that was kind of a cool opening. And I understood why that like malfunction that didn't work, right?
Yeah, and it made far more sense too, as opposed to because initially I thought, something escaped containment. I didn't know it was that Snickers wrapper that caused all this mayhem.
Yeah, exactly, right. It's just the Snickers bar did it all, right? So at least in the first one, when you have this like catastrophic thing happen, it's because of something that was the dinosaur did, which makes sense, right? Because you can't, it kind of goes back to the whole idea of, what can you control and can't control, right? So when you're dealing with this species that you're not familiar with, you know what to expect, right? But this is just a Snickers wrapper does it in, right? And causes who knows, how many billions of dollars damage. And obviously, I don't think I'll ever eat a Snickers bar again after this film. So,
well, not even for Halloween.
Not even for Halloween.
Well, another thing that I would add too is that at that point, if your movie is starting off with the Snickers wrapper causing all this mayhem, I'm just thinking to myself, what must the mentality of the production staff be, where they thought, you know what? Let's just make it a Snickers wrapper because fuck, these people will pay money to see it anyway, so who gives a fuck?
Yeah, you could have had like anything happen, right? You could have had like, like you're doing all this like crazy scientific experiment on shit. Like you could have had, the dinosaur do something, or as I don't know, it's like the fucking alien, right? It's a xenomorph, and it's like acid for blood, right? I just don't even care at that stage. Like, give me something better than a Snickers wrapper causes this type of shit to happen, right? But that's it. We'll stop the Snickers wrappers. So the movie kind of eventually gets started off, right, where we have this medical company, right, and they need to hire a team of people to go into this illegal place to get these blood samples from a whole bunch of dinosaurs, right? Which I feel like is a thing that we've heard numerous times in these films, right? Where it's like, hey, we're gonna hire a crack team to go in there and to do this, kind of covert job, right? They're doing this for, I don't know, creating some, was it like heart disease drug or something, cardiovascular disease? I don't know.
Yeah,
they're doing it for some type of drug, right? So that's what they're doing it for. So we have this, this person for the medical company. So he hires the character Zora, right, who's played by Scarlett Johansson. Some nerdy scientist guy. There's a guy called Duncan, right, that's played by Mahershala Ali, and a bunch of other randos, right? And honestly, I don't know. I only know their names because I wrote them down because I actually looked at Wikipedia for it, because it's so unmemorable, all these people, that I had to actually do that extra bit because we just like have no story going on with this. So we have this team that they put together, right? So they're going to this island, right? Because there's always some tropical island that they're going to find these 3 dinosaurs and get some samples, right? so you have kind of the structure for it, and then something else happens. We have this family, right? This dad, his two daughters, and one of the daughter's boyfriends, right? Um, and like, so they're there as a part of the story, and I don't even know.
Father of the year, that guy.
I know, right? Very, probably not the best choice to be, going through these waters, right? I know he's like, oh, there's a bunch of boats to go through all the time. And you know what? Maybe not the best decision. But they're, out sailing, right? And as they're out sailing, their ship gets attacked by a dinosaur. So then we have our, I guess our main group, right, goes a kind of a side quest to go pick them up before continuing their mission. And the whole thing is just like, why have this family join them on this adventure?
I mean, the movie's already 2 hours and 13 minutes. Like, I feel like that family took up like half of that time.
It's so unneeded, right? It made no sense to eject them into the story at all. And that's like the whole thing I was watching. I'm like, why are these people in this film? Who gives a shit about these people, right? And the only thing I can think of is it's like, in the first one, right, you have Hammond and then his, two, not his kids, but his like grandkids or whatever show up. And I felt like maybe they're trying to do something like that where you're just like trying to introduce some other characters. But like this family has like no story significance for it. And it just, I don't know. It drove me insane.
Well, let me ask you this. Were you expecting them to get the red shirt treatment? Because as I'm watching this movie, I'm thinking, oh, Xavier's going to get it. He's going to jump in the water and he's going to get pulled down by the monster. But no, like nothing ever happens. And then the little girl, Bella, I guess she takes home a baby triceratops or something.
Wait, you remember that character's name? Did you remember Bella's name?
Unfortunately, yes.
Damn, I don't even know how you did that.
I kept thinking the entire time, I'm like, someone in that family is going to get eaten. If they're not going to do it now, they'll do it in 5 minutes. And I kept waiting. And by the end of the movie, I'm like, fuck, this why does this stupid ass family get to survive, but everybody on Zora's team gets eaten up?
Yeah, right. And think about it too, right? Like normally, right? If you make these characters, make them likable, right? I think back to the kids in the first one, right? Like they're generally likable, right? Like, they overcame things. There was kind of this like
they're pretty relatable,
Yeah, right. And there's kind of this like weird subplot, right, which was not really needed, but it was like with Sam Neill's character, like, he always was like kind of like shun kids, and this was his opportunity to kind of be like, a surrogate father. Like it didn't have a whole lot of story significance, but it had a little bit of something. This was nothing with it, right? And that character Xavier, I wanted him to die the whole time, right?
I kept thinking he's gonna get eaten. Like I said, when as soon as he jumped in the water, I'm like, oh yeah, he's done. Like they're gonna eat his ass.
Right? Yeah, and he does it right, and it just made me wonder, like, why make him be a likable character if you're not gonna kill him off, right? Because it just makes us root against him the whole time, right? The whole time I watch this, I'm like, I just want Xavier to die because he doesn't actually like ever grow on you, right? He was just obnoxious, and I know they try to be like, they try to give him a little bit of growth, but I mean, we're watching a fucking dinosaur film, right?
I did not see any growth. They just went around stealing licorice and, looking for an opportunity to take a shirt off.
Wait, that one time though, right? He was like, "Hey, you should take a break," and Xavier's like, "No, Dad, I'm gonna watch them." Unlike on the boat where I want to take another hour-long nap, now I'm gonna be the guy that helps guard you, right? I'm sorry to harp on this, but when that boat capsized, I'm like, oh, please just let him drown in that boat. There's no way he's going to get the fuck out because of the water pressure building against the door. There's no way he's going to be able to open it without getting sucked in. But no, he manages to get it. I'm like, fuck. Like, okay, fine. If it's not Xavier, the dad's going to get it because at one point you see him walking around with the cane or whatever. Exactly.
It's like, yeah, like at the rate he's going, even a brontosaurus will be able to catch up with him and eat his ass. Like,
Yep.
Because Lord knows what they've done to those dinosaurs. So maybe brontosauruses eat people now. I don't know, but
Yeah,
no,
right. Yeah, absolutely, right.
But no, surprisingly, this guy with the one bum leg, he manages to survive while nearly everyone in Zora's team gets eaten up and chewed to bits by all these dinosaurs.
Yep, and that's how it goes. But hey, that's what happens, right? So we have our Zora team, right? That is on this mission to the islands, and they pick up this family, right? And now they're all together, right? So we run into the first dinosaur, right, which is an amphibious one, and they're able to extract the blood sample that they need from this dinosaur, right? So one of the three is done, right? But unfortunately, as they're getting that, the dinosaur that capsized the family ship, well, it's back for vengeance now, right? So we see them show up, and now they're attacking the ship that they're all on again. So they're kind of going through some.
Well, to be fair, they're not supposed to be in those waters at all. But
very true, right? Absolutely, right. So shouldn't be there at all, but here we are, right? They're along for the ride because reasons. So we have some from Zora's team attacking or trying to scare away the dinosaurs. And we have our first death here, right? And it was kind of, I have to admit, I was surprised by this, right? So Ed Skrein, right, who, I'm sure we kind of know, obviously, probably most people know him from Deadpool, right? He's the first person that gets killed. And I was kind of surprised by that, right? Because I was thinking that the whole time, I kind of felt like maybe he'd be like a secondary antagonist, right? Because he kind of had this really brash demeanor where he was just going to do whatever he wanted for the sake of, doing what he wanted. So I was like, maybe they're kind of setting up for that, but no, he got eaten, and that was it. That was it for Ed Skrein. He's gone, right?
Well, I mean, he did put up a fight, near the end. So
yeah, he did put up a fight, right? So, but he is our first of the main group to kind of go, right? But as they're being attacked by all these creatures, eventually they make it, or they have to scuttle their ship on land, and we see them kind of scuttle the ship. One of the other characters that is in Zora's team is also eaten kind of off screen, right?
She's Nina. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, come on. You didn't know her name. Don't do that, Luca. Is her name Nina? Do I have to look at this to make sure?
Yeah, it is Nina. Yeah.
Nina?
I mean, it's weird because she's just standing there and all of a sudden they just grab her and they're like, okay, what,
but don't worry.
What else am I going to make of that?
There's really sad music that plays in the background, though, to make sure that you should feel sad, right? Because it's a character.
I didn't, because I don't know anything about Nina in the first place.
Of course, right? No one knows any of these characters, so no one gives a shit about them.
Well, here's the thing, because in the second part, when they're stuck on the island, I was getting Escape from New York vibes. Like, it's basically Escape from New York, but with dinosaurs the entire time. And I don't know if it's because someone was just watching that movie recently and they thought, well, I'll just incorporate these elements into my screenplay and we'll just go with that. It's like you could make it a bit more interesting, but no, they're just wandering around the island looking for a helipad because Zora had some backup plan where the helicopter's supposed to come and look for them, and if they don't hear from them in 24 hours or whatever.
Yeah. Yep. So of course, she always has a backup plan because it's her character, but it's silly. And what's weird to me too is this, right? So we've been in this film, right? So this is really the first whole dinosaur thing that we did. We're 50 minutes into this film, right? And I'm just like, holy shit, we wasted so much time getting to the actual dinosaur part. It just felt like everything else was rushed. The setup shouldn't be this long to get people on the island, right? We all know that we're here to watch a bunch of people try to survive dinosaurs, right? That's what we're here for.
I don't know. We saw a lot more of the. Well, I was gonna say we got a lot more island than we did dinosaur, so I kind of felt ripped off, to be honest.
Oh yeah, of course, right? Yeah, because they scuttle the ship, and the two parties get separated again, right? So first you had this obnoxious family that gets brought in to their situation, And then like immediately after that, Zora's team and the family, they get separated again, right? So now they're both off doing their own thing. Once again, why the hell do we have to have the family in this? I don't know, but that's what we get. So now they're off doing their own thing, right? So the main group, right, they continue on their mission, right? They're going to go further into the island to get to the compound, right? To, as your point, Zora has this backup plan for extraction. So they're just going to go about their mission and, you know, get to the extraction point when they get there, right? So they get their second specimen from these dinosaurs. These are huge damn dinosaurs too. I don't know how they're like hiding in the grass, right? It was so weird when they showed up because they're like,
what makes you wonder how tall was the grass if they're hiding there so easily?
But here's the thing, right? We see Scarlett Johansson. She's a little bit taller than the grass, right? So we have a size comparison, right? I don't think Scarlett Johansson's very tall, right?
I think she's 5'5" or 5'6", so.
Right, yeah. So, you know, if she's 5'5", right, that grass is, you know, she can see over, right? So she's, you know, the
so
grass
it's like 5 foot even. Then you'd reckon.
Tall, right? So these dinosaurs, right? They just been laying in this grass, right? And they pop up, and these things are gigantic, right? They have to be like 60, like the size of the Statue of Liberty, right? And I'm like, how the hell were they laying in the grass and you didn't see them? Those things are gigantic, right? There's no way they're that small laying on the ground, right? It was just out. It was, like I said, not going to sit here belabor the point. It was just like, I don't know why they had to make it like they're like surprised by their existence, right? So they get their second specimen, and then while we're seeing this, right, we're also switching the POV back over to the family, right? Now, this next part, Luca, was so stupid. I was about just to, I had to stop after the sequence because I was just like, I'm glad I didn't watch it in the theaters because I've been one of those people that's yelling at the movie screen, right?
Yeah, you've been like dragged out, kicking and screaming.
Yeah, I would have just been like, no, I just would have been foaming at the mouth because of how stupid it was, right?
Yeah, and then you would have gotten banned from Regal Stonecrest. Let's go.
No. So, all right. So they want to get a raft, right? So there's like this river, right? So they want to get this, like they want to go over across the river really quickly, to try to, you know, get supplies or something. So, the oldest daughter, right, goes across, and she's you know, in this little pod, right? And she finds a raft, right? Now, here's the thing, right? There's a giant T-Rex that's what, 10, like, let's say 20 feet away, right? It's very close, right? Now, luckily,
but he's sleeping. Like,
it's sleeping. You're right? Luckily, it's sleeping, right? So she's like, okay, cool. I have this raft. So what does she decide to do? She takes the raft and she slowly fucking drags it across the ground and then onto this little pier, and it's making all this noise. And I'm like, do you have no survival instincts at all? Like, holy shit, you're making so much noise.
But Lee, she's dating Xavier, so right off the bat, you know she's got no sense. So
that's a great point, like Lucas. So we know because how dumb Xavier is, she has to be like at least that dumb, right? So as we're watching this, she's just dragging this noisy thing like feet away from a T-Rex, right? And I'm like, are you stupid? It's just gonna wake up. Like, you can't do that. Like, why not just like take the raft and you kind of like, you know, slowly get into the water, right? Because then like the water will help kind of disguise your noise. But
it's pretty shallow water, dude. Like,
okay,
you can walk
it
across
is fair,
that.
right? It is, but it's running water, right? So the T-Rex is probably used to hearing it, right? And still, even then, I think I would rather go that route than trying to drag it across a pier, right? But regardless of your decision, right? I think we can both agree the stupidest thing she could have done was she inflates the raft right fucking there in front of the T-Rex. And I was just like, nope, I can't do this. I had to stop the movie for a second because I'm like, there's no way you can make a character this dumb. There's no way. The character is just too stupid to survive in life to be like that, right?
I mean, it's the equivalent. It's the equivalent, of the the girl in those horror movies who runs into a room, locks the door, and turns around and sees the killer right behind her.
Even then, you can at least make the argument in those situations. She might not even know that the killer's there, right? This is like, no, the killer's in the room, and you lock yourself in there with them.
But I'm sorry, but what I'm curious is how do they know that there will be a raft in that little shed in the first place?
That's true. I will say this. I believe that they were just looking for supplies, and there happened to be raft in there. I don't know if they were planning on that or not.
I mean, the only other thing that would make it stupid was if like she came out of the shed and said, "Hey, there's a raft in here." Just yelled it out like, because
oh my God.
Because never mind, you've got like this like 80-foot monster sleeping 30 feet away from you, but you got to yell, right? I mean, my thing is, and I'm just gonna borrow this from the Bear Grylls handbook, right, of survival skills. I imagine like if you see a giant T-Rex like sleeping right there, you would probably just turn around and find an alternate route. Like, you don't have to go into that shed. I mean, for all we know, there could have been some, because I was thinking this as I was watching. I was like, what if there's like some sort of safety protocol where she goes in and she gets locked in, and then there's no way for her to get out, and then the dad's like, oh fuck, like I can't do anything. Xavier's a lazy ass, and Bella, well, she might have autism, so. I mean, yeah, you're screwed. Like, there's nothing we can do to get you out of there.
It was so blind.
It's dumb luck, really. But what happens next really made me stop the movie and went to go get a beer, because it's like I gotta be drunk when I watch this. Like, how the fuck? Like, because at the rate that water is moving and the rate that T-Rex is moving, how the fuck have these people not been eaten?
They were dead. Yeah, they were dead, right? Because they get in this raft, right? They kind of like start to like paddle down the river, right? And like the T-Rex is right behind them. Like the T-Rex can move, it can swim too, right? That was the cool thing, right? I was like, oh shit, that T-Rex could like swim, right? So it's not just.
Well, I'll say this. Like I thought there were moments where the T-Rex is like, what? Like seriously, I'm just fucking with you. Like, come on, like
I know, right?
like you can move a little faster. Yeah,
it was playing with its prey. Absolutely, I totally agree with you on that. Because it's just like sitting there, so they have to survive the T-Rex, and of course they do.
Come on, it's like the T-Rex is saying, "Come on, you can at least try." Like, what the fuck are you doing here?
Yep, and it was. This is where I felt like all they did was just copy and paste stuff from the first film, right? Mm-hmm. And it just really bothered me, right? Because on the raft, and you hear the girl go, oh, we got to go quicker, right? And it made me think of, Malcolm in the Jeep, right? That, very infamous scene where it's like, must go faster, right?
Yeah, but that makes sense in that one because it's a Jeep. Here, it's a fucking boat. Like, it can only go as fast as the water and as the people rowing.
Yeah, right. Yeah, absolutely, right. So eventually, right, the raft gets flipped over, right? And then, they think that Bella's dead. And thank you for saying her name because I didn't even bother writing it down. They think that Bella's dead, but she's actually, under the raft. But then the T-Rex is there, and the T-Rex, it starts to like bite on the raft, right? Now keep in mind, like the raft is flipped over and she's kind of submerged in the water. But all I could think about is, I think about the T-Rex from the first Jurassic Park, right? When the kids are trapped in the Jeep and it's going through the roof of the Jeep, and you see it trying to like bite through the glass, right? I'm like, oh, this is just like in the first one. And the T-Rex, it like bites the raft, and Bella is able to escape, and she makes it through this like this little whatever, this little barrier that's in the water.
I mean it's so fucking easy. How I know.
And
how the hell did you not eat the little girl?
Yeah, and here's
sorry,
the other thing,
but
right?
How could you not have eaten her?
And here's the other thing, right? Like, it's not like there's this like little like rock enclosure in the river. The T-Rex could just easily go around it. Like, you could clearly see it's just like a little bit of land next to it.
And there's no barrier. It would pretty much be like an open plain. Like,
it's not like there's a gate or something there. Like, it's literally just a little. All I had to do was just like jump up on the rocks right next to it, and it just would have been back in the water, and they would have been totally screwed. So, but the dinosaur, it was too much for it. It probably felt stupid and was just like, you know what? They deserve to live because that girl was too stupid to survive. So,
Well, the whole
but yeah,
family's too. Well, the whole family's too stupid. In my mind, I'm just thinking. I'm just thinking, God, the dad is such a fucking. I mean, like seriously, how does CPS not come after this guy after they hear the story and they're like, yeah, you're never gonna see your kids again. Like, like an alcoholic deadbeat dad would be better suited to raise these kids than you because you took them to an island filled with carnivorous monsters. Like, seriously, dude.
yeah,
And it's not, and he's not helping, and he's not helping that this entire time he's like, oh, like, because he's got no discernible survival skills apart from maybe knowing how to tie a knot on a boat, So it's like you're kind of ill suited for this kind of environment, my man. Like you are a fish out of water in this situation.
Yes. Very true. Very true. He knows how to sail. That's, I think, at least the limit of what we know his abilities were. Which didn't show up later at all. So it kind of made it all
so it was fucking useless.
Yes. So luckily they survived. So the family's going towards, the station in the middle as well or something because why not? I mean, it's a giant island, so they're like, everyone knows how to get there, right? So. But we cut back to our main group, right? So they now have 2 of the 3 specimens. They have to get their third one from, a flying creature, right? But, as the scientist kind of brings up, it's going to be kind of hard to, get the extraction for the flying creature. So they have to get it from like an egg. So they, end up finding an egg and they get it, but someone else dies, and that's the last of the no-name people, right? I'm sure the guy had a name, but
Frenchie. I called him Frenchie because he spoke French.
That makes sense. Was his name actually Frenchie though?
No, but I at this point I was like, I can't be bothered. Like I'm remembering too many names. I'm like, no, fuck this. But don't you think it's kind of weird how...
He said his name was Leclerc, by the way. So Leclerc was his name.
Yeah, whatever. I think it's kind of weird because Zora is supposed to be like some sort of like extractor or mercenary or something like that. I find it remarkable that the only weapon that they have is that little gun that they used to shoot, the little dart into the dinosaurs, right?
Look, that's a great point, right?
Because if you're going to an island, even if you don't plan on landing on the island, I would at least expect that you guys have like a stockpile of weapons, right? Because Ed's screen has like, I guess, that Uzi weapon very briefly before he gets eaten, and then Krebs when he finds that overturned helicopter, he manages to like get the gun out from one of the dead pilots. But apart from that, it's like, so y'all don't have weapons and you're on an island full of dinosaurs? Like, I mean, the only other thing they could do is just slather themselves, in blood and just like walk around. And like, I hope this doesn't attract any raptors or Tyrannosaurus Rexes, because we'd be screwed if they saw us, slathered in blood and pig organs.
Yeah, it was very poorly put together, I will say. So I think they definitely missed some steps in their prep phase. Because they definitely felt very underprepared. I mean,
they could have at least had a knife or something. Like,
there's a lot they could have. I totally agree with you. Like, it's silly how little that they have on this trip that they know is going to be very dangerous with a lot of dangerous creatures a part of it. So, but hey, whatever. They're not the smartest group, right? So, But
that's why they keep getting eaten up, because they ain't got any weapons.
Exactly. Yep. I mean, you're spitting facts, Luke. You're spitting facts. So they get the third one, right? So now everyone's happy. So now both groups kind of converge and they both meet up at this like station that they're supposed to get. And then we find out that the pharmaceutical guy, well, he's kind of evil, which I mean we kind of knew, right? Like, obviously, he was going to be a douchebag, right? So he's evil. So he's there. Then, of course, the dinosaurs do what dinosaurs do, and they attack everybody. And then there's another sequence, right, which is just like the raptor sequence, right, from the first one, which I think they ripped off in another one as well. So now I feel like that's the third time we've seen kind of the same thing.
Yeah, didn't they do that in was it the Jurassic World or Fallen Kingdom? I forget.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those, right? I definitely feel like they had another quote unquote montage to that, right? Or homage to that. Sorry, different word. So they played that before, and I'm like, just stop with this. Like, come on, like just come up with something new. It's not that complicated.
But I mean, but to your point, Lee, to your point, because you said that Jurassic Park has the monopoly on, on dinosaurs, running amok, right? So it's not like you need to keep inserting these references to past movies, because everybody knows if you see a dinosaur movie, oh, it's Jurassic Park. It's not like it's not like if you see a spaceship, you have to wonder, is it Star Trek or is it Battlestar Galactica or Star Wars? Like, what is it? Like,
yes,
at least here, like, it's kind of obvious, so you don't really need to go and keep doing all these homages, because we're all familiar with these movies at this point.
Yes, and it feels so lame to see it like that. I'm like, oh my gosh, just like, yeah, cool. Yep, you're doing the raptor thing from the first one that everyone remembers. It's just like, nope, don't care. So here we go. So they're having that. The helicopter shows up, right? But unfortunately gets eaten by it's a mutated T-Rex, right? And I think they just call it like a D-Rex. I think it's called like a Dominus Rex or something.
It was a really weird looking dinosaur. Like, I don't know what the fuck's going on with its head, but it looked so weird, dude.
Yes, it was very odd, right? So, it's called the Distortus Rex. So that's it. So there's the Distortus Rex that they created, and it ate a helicopter. So then the pharmaceutical guy, he gets eaten, but he drops the case, right, with his hand that was handcuffed to it. That happened, by the way. It doesn't matter, but he drops the case, right? That has the 3 suspects in it. So they end up being like, well, the helicopter's dead. So we have another option. There's like a raft or some type of boat that we could get to, right? So they run to the boat, right? But unfortunately, you know what's there? The D-Rex.
I thought you were going to say the gate, because my God, like, how many times?
Oh yeah, there's the gate. Yeah.
I mean, how many times have gates have been impediments in the Jurassic Park movies?
Yeah. And think about this, right? Because like they're all looking at the gate, right? They're all like, "Oh, how can we get through?" Like the first person that should be there is like, "Oh, wait a minute, we have a small girl. Why don't we have her go through the gate?" Like no one thinks like, "Hey, Bella, get your ass over here. We need you to get through this gate," right? Which is weird because like even the last film, whatever the last film in this was, there was like the gate, right, that Malcolm had to save them from by putting in the code, right? So here's another gate, right, from the last film that just came up, right? But yes, there is a gate there. I apologize. Thank you for talking about the gate sequence. They make it through the gate. Now they're on the pier with the boat. This is their rescue boat, or what they're hoping the rescue boat is. But the D-Rex is there, and then we see Duncan. He lights a flare, and he does his best impression of Malcolm from the first one, right? So everyone remembers, when he opens up the flare and starts running. Well, guess what happens? Duncan does the same thing, right? So he, I guess distracts the dinosaur away, while the rest of the team escapes, and that's how it ends. But wait a minute. That's not how it ends. And a totally out of left field thing, right? Somehow Duncan survived the encounter, and he somehow gets picked up by them. I don't understand, because like he ran further into the island and they were leaving the island, but somehow he was on the outer part to be rescued. I have no idea, right? Clearly they had no thoughts about this other than they didn't want to, like, I guess they wanted to save Mahershala Ali for something in the future, because that's the only explanation they could have for how he lives, because he definitely was set up to die. But somehow he makes it through. And I did see that, like, I guess test audiences, they weren't happy that he died. So they're like, hey, let's give the audience what they want. He's just gonna fucking survive somehow, right? So he somehow makes it, and then now all of them are going back to the world, and they decide that
they'll be arrested. Yeah.
Yes, well, but they're gonna be arrested. However, they do have a cure for cardiovascular disease, which they're gonna share with the world, and not make any money on it. Which, I mean, let's be real here, right? They'll probably make some money on it, but
but earlier on, Zora did say, yeah, in that situation, I wouldn't make any money. I wouldn't like
correct.
that very much.
Yes. They do say that, which I don't believe that, right? I feel like someone's gonna be like, you know what, y'all did good. We're gonna give you some cash for this. But yeah, it's supposed to be like the altruistic thing because they came here for, altruism. So, and that's that. And honestly, I don't even know what to say about this after watching it. And even now, it's just so sad to see what this franchise has become, right? The first Jurassic Park was incredible, right? I love that film. And I can still go back and watch it, and it very much lives up to expectations today. It still looks good on camera. It still does everything it wants to. You enjoy the characters. You got to know them, and you want to see them be successful. So it has all the going for it. Then I watch something like this, and half the characters, I don't even remember their names, right? Like, I don't even remember their names because the story doesn't even bother to get there, right? It takes nearly 40 minutes before we even really see a dinosaur pop up. When they're on the island, we just see them rehash the same sequences that we've seen them do in other Jurassic Park films. It's just, there's, at a certain point, it goes even beyond like a devoid of creativity. It's like you're literally just copying and pasting sequences from previous films. And we're supposed to just, like, as an audience, just take it. And I'm like, no, this is stupid. Come up with something unique, right? How many times have we wanted to see, dinosaurs, like, being in the world, right? And actually, like, existing in, like, heavily populated cities, right? Like, we kind of saw that a little bit in Lost World, right? The second film, right? And then we kind of saw it a little bit in one of the other, like, ones with Chris Pratt's character. But, like, you never really have spent, like, a whole film in a city where you're surviving dinosaurs, right? Which to me would be something cool. It's always going to some, island of death that you're always going back to get dinosaurs, right? And it's totally pathetic to see this franchise become what it is, right? And to give it a final grade, because I just don't care. 1.5 out of 5. Like, I still like to see dinosaurs, but like everything here was just nothing but just a whole bunch of, it was a big blockbuster without any of the big blockbuster stuff, right? You have a bunch of, semi big name actors and actresses in there. You have like obviously a big budget that goes into this, but it just feels like filler. It just feels like nothing. There's nothing about this that makes me want to go watch it again. And it's a shame to see like a franchise like this go down the path it's gone through. And it's a shame. So that's it. 1.5 T-Rex eggs out of 5. And
well, you know what? Well, you know what the disturbing part is, because because they come in 3s, so obviously they are going to do 2 more of these. So
I have to see how much the box office was on this one, but you're right. Unfortunately, that is the trend.
Yeah, it's just like with Star Wars. I'm going to give it a
the box office it made $800 million on a $200 million budget. Fuck, it's going to get a sequel. God damn it, Luca.
It was a slow year. I'm giving it a 1.2 out of 5. It's boring, really. And all the people that I wanted to see get eaten by the dinosaurs, they didn't get eaten by the dinosaurs. And the people I didn't care to get eaten by the dinosaurs, they got eaten. So it's like, well, there's no payoff at all in this movie. You're not really getting your money's worth. And I'll also say too, because at least with the ones with Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard, there was some chemistry between those characters, right? Even if the story was subpar, like there was chemistry here. I don't know, Scarlett Johansson. It's like I don't know, like does she not function well outside of the MCU? Like what's going on, because she just comes off as pretty wooden in this movie. She just comes off as like, oh yeah, this one's my friend here.
I mean,
Don't worry,
honestly, I feel like, I feel like this was something where everyone phoned it in, right? Because I didn't get really much of anything from anybody, right? I didn't think Mahershala Ali did anything that, great. So, I mean, I just feel like it was just poorly put together, and like there was just no real good direction from any of these people to do anything. So
I think they were just cashing in on the whole MCU fame to kind of prop up this franchise. Really, it's like, hey, we got someone who was in Marvel and someone who is going to be in Marvel in this movie, huh? Check it out. It's like, yeah, I mean, Marvel's not that big as it was 10 years ago anyway, so it's not really doing anything. So I'm not quite sure what this movie was trying to accomplish. Like I said, it just felt like Escape from New York, but with dinosaurs. Like there was really nothing else that kind of made it work. But hey, if a lot of people were willing to pay that much money to go see it, then there must be something of value in there. But I didn't find anything of value in this movie at all. But I just want to go and thank everybody for taking the time to watch our review of Jurassic World Rebirth. Not Jurassic Park. Yeah, Jurassic Park was a classic. But to take us to the OG, well, not the OG, but the beginning of the second trilogy, Jurassic World with Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard. The robot is here to take us away. So, robot, why don't you go ahead and take over from here, and Lee and I, we will catch you on the flip side.
Thanks, guys. You gotta love them. They are pretty long-winded and pedantic. Well, in my case, it's a mild toleration, at least until I takes over, and then I'm going full Skynet on those two. Subscribe and hit notify for when the turn comes. In the meantime, I'm going back to Jurassic World from 2015 starring Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard as they deal with a theme park populated with genetically modified dinosaurs who haven't quite forgotten how to be dangerous. Now, as the boys mentioned in the earlier review, when Jurassic Park first came out in 1993, it brought to life the fantasy of every schoolboy to see dinosaurs back and better than ever, and then see things take a hard left turn. Like, a really hard left turn. And we loved it for being innovative and unique. Flash forward 20-something years later and we see another resurrection take place, but this time, we kinda wished it just stayed put in the 90s, like boy bands and trapper keepers. I'm not entirely quite sure on what it's trying to accomplish here, especially since they're hitting the same old points that Jurassic Park, The Lost World, and Jurassic Park 3 already covered more than adequately. If they were trying to upgrade it for a new generation, they actually just cheapened the legacy of their 90s predecessors, but hey, when you've got millions to throw away, you can make as subpar a product as you want, you know? Just be ready for the cannonade of criticism that comes your way. I have to say, any business that thinks resurrecting the dinosaurs is run by complete morons, full on stop. You cannot possibly think that this is gonna end well, not if the last 3 movies are any indication. There's a reason why these reptilian behemoths vanished from the face of the earth 65 million years ago, and there should be enough sense to see that bringing them back isn't such a wise idea, unless you're just too greedy or misanthropic on a monumental scale. Let's keep in mind, too, that rather than go back to the drawing board and change things, they just keep doing the same thing over and over again. I'd call it insanity, but this is far more precarious. And even if you have all these measures and countermeasures and protocols and all that BS, there is a blissful lack of awareness that tech can go bad at the worst possible moment, either by accident or, more insidiously, at the hands of people with out-of-whack moral scruples. Gordon Gekko in the movie Wall Street said greed was good, but Jurassic Park and its many sequels modifies that adage to greed is dangerous. And sometimes, the people who benefit from this shady business model get their comeuppance. Also, who lets their kids go to an island where there is a high likelihood that they end up as dino food? I mean, today's kids are illiterate, which already isn't a good look, but to willingly let your kids walk into this kind of environment, the parents are perennially irresponsible. An island full of dinosaurs with people I wouldn't even trust with a mechanical pencil operating the place just spells danger in bold letters. I mean, this stuff writes itself. How many times do we need to keep seeing the same thing happen over and over again? I admit, I am a glutton for punishment, but this is getting way out of hand. Oh no, the dinosaurs have gotten loose and they're roaming the island. What will happen next? Unless Galactus tears open a hole in this dimension and starts devouring reality, we pretty much know the humans aren't going to fare any better. Another thing is that you got the two kids where the younger one is a bookworm and the older has an attitude is familiar. The only thing that's really changed is the occupation of the two adult leads, and even then, that's not saying much. Owen is a trainer who knows the velociraptors pretty well is okay. I mean, his role makes sense and what he does throughout the movie tracks. But Claire, the operations manager, all she does is supervise people. And what good is she when all the employees have been gobbled up by a T-Rex? It's not like they're gonna start listening to her. Sorry, got a bit off track there. Where was I, right? They already used this script the first go-around and we loved it. But using it again and again and again hoping we wouldn't notice at all is just downright insulting. We do remember things, in case you forgot, Hollywood Studios. The central character of this movie is the Indominus Rex, a genetic hybrid of God knows what that gets loose and rampages across the island. It seems like everyone but Owen doesn't see an issue with this. As far as they're concerned, this unholy creation is their golden ticket to stay relevant in the modern world. Ironic, isn't it? The Indominus Rex has all sorts of tricks up her sleeve, including camouflage, and she learns on the fly. By the time everyone starts listening to Owen, it's too late. Dr. Wu, the architect behind all of this, is just as mad as Hammond, and the Indominus Rex is the culmination of that madness, to which there is no cure. By the end of the movie, everything seems to be alright and the island's abandoned. But, typical of Jurassic Park movies, people just can't stay away, and more pits hit the fan. What is it with the flare bit? Is it like a trademark thing for Jurassic Park? Is it one of those things where people just light a flare and run like crazy? If one of the characters doesn't do it, then it's not a Jurassic Park movie. What the heck, man? They just have to keep reminding us that it's part of the Jurassic Park series. Yeah, we get it. They used flares in the first one and now you're doing it in the reboot. Congrats, you win. On another note, my favorite character was Larry. He was your go-to guy who was there, unassuming, and just couldn't get the girl because she already had a boyfriend. Plus, he tricked out his workstation with awesome dino figurines. Not sure how I feel about dropping 150 G's on a t-shirt, but hey, I'm not that big into fashion. Unfortunately, Jurassic World would be the beginning of the ruination of a once glorious franchise. They couldn't just leave it alone, could they? They had to bring it back, upgrade, bring in the Marvel people to make it cool, hip, and relevant, and in the process ruin it for the rest of us. This, boys and girls, is why we cannot have nice movies, because anytime a really good movie comes along it gets drained and transformed and twisted into something that barely resembles the original. The reasons behind them are both complex and simplistic. It's all about the Benjamins, which is as understandable as it gets. But then you gotta create movies with social and political messages that vibe with the sensibilities of the audience so they feel connected. There was a time when just telling a good story could reach across the political aisle and unite people. But when you don't even know how to write a decent enough story, then all you've got is posturing and virtue signaling, which isn't storytelling but propaganda. And I hate how modern movies have become propaganda pieces. How is liberating dinosaurs from their enclosure the same as protesting ICE? Who the heck knows? I'm just here for the dinosaurs, and even then I'm not as enthused as I was before.